Everybody, welcome to Quarryside Chat number 3. We are really excited to be back here this week. If it is your first time joining us for Quarryside Chats, welcome. You're all very welcome. If you were with us for Quarryside Chat 1 or 2, welcome back. We have a super exciting week this week. Last week, we briefly touched upon one of the elements that we're going to talk about today, the East X Tower. In addition to talking in more detail about the East X Tower, we'll also be diving deeper into the zip lines and kind of showing you the process from the zip line off East X Tower down to the landing zone, which is a really cool thing, and we're excited to share that. And then we're also going to talk more about our paddle sports activities at the park. So another great week this week. Again, thank you all for joining us. Some housekeeping items. Just make sure that everyone is on mute so that there isn't any background noise. And then also we love questions. I say it each week, but this is a great opportunity to get any of your questions, or if you're looking for more information on anything that we talk about here tonight or just anything in the park in general, please submit any and all questions that you have. And the way to do that is at the bottom of the screen, there is a chat function. If you actually, click that, you can send a direct chat to me by going to the To section, look for my name, Maura Daly, and then send any questions that you have tonight through that chat function, and we'll make sure at the end to answer as many questions as we can. Again, super excited night tonight. We're gonna kick it off with Jeremy, who is at the base of the East Tower. Jeremy, take it away.
Thanks, Maura. What a beautiful late spring night out here, or evening out here. It's absolutely gorgeous. So as Maura said, last week we spent a few minutes talking about some of the features of the East X Tower. Where I'm at now is the far east edge of the 8 Towers Adventure, which is the showpiece for our park out here. The two things we wanted to show you about the tower today are, number one, just how much work has been done in the last week to get this thing ready for opening. We're making tons and tons of progress. The second thing we want to talk about here at the East Towers is the zip line launching point. It's called Top Zip when you're actually up on the course itself. Before we do that, I'm going to turn the mic over to Hannah for just a second to show us some of the progress we've made over the course of the last week on this phenomenal 90-foot East X Tower at the Forge Lemont Quarries.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeremy. If you guys joined us last week, Chris and I had kind of showed you the East X Tower, and in the middle I was saying there was going to be some elements added, and it looks like we do have some elements that are starting to go up, which is super exciting. You can see a bunch of different log crossings. There's rope crossings way up there. There's some tire crossings there. So there's going to be even more added to help you make your way all the way up to the top. And then you can also check out that platform way up there where these blue and green ropes are coming from. That is our rappel station, where you would be able to rappel all the way down to the ground here. So a bunch of stuff being added, and it's looking pretty good over here. Jeremy, if you want to take it over and tell them about the zip line.
Absolutely. So the platform that Hannah just showed you is the 84-foot platform for the rappelling station. The platform just below that you can see here from my camera now, that's a bit rectangular and has those 4 big zip lines coming out of the top, is the zip line platform for the East X Tower. Now you'll notice if you look at the different elements of the tower itself, whether it's the elements on the front face or the back face, or those loop-de-loop crossy elements that Hannah was showing you a minute ago that take you up through the middle, that's actually how you access the zip line. You don't just sort of walk up and take a staircase up. Like, you've got to earn the reward of your amazing zipline experiences at the Forge Lemont Quarries. So that platform is about 58 feet off the ground. And when you get up there, you'll be met by a friendly Lemont Quarries staff member who will help you to check your equipment, ensure your safety, get you rigged in to that zip line, and then they will send you across the Forge Quarry, screaming with joy and all kinds of fun, over the lake as you get over to where Chris and Byron are now standing at the landing zone, which is called Bottom Zip. Having said that, I'm going to turn the mic over to Chris and let him and Byron talk to you about the endpoint of the zip lines. Chris?
Awesome. Thanks, Jeremy. We're at the other end of those cables that Jeremy was just showing on the screen there. And what you see across this lake are the three tallest ropes towers in the world. This lake is called the Ford Quarry. And I'm here with Byron Bell, the general manager of the park. And we're at what's called Bottom Zip. So this is the place where you come off. If you see those zip lines on the right, those two zip lines come off the East X Tower that Jeremy was just talking about with Hannah. Behind that, just a little bit to the right, is the West X Tower, which is just as big, and it has just as many cool elements on it. And then over to the left, at the ends of these cables here, is the Skyscraper Tower. That's the tallest tower. So that's also got two zip lines coming across the quarry. So I guess starting with the ones off the East X Tower, Byron, how long are those zip lines from here to there?
That's a great question. Those zip lines on the East X Tower are about 950 feet in length. And as Jeremy was mentioning, it's about 54 feet up off the ground from the tower there.
Yeah.
And as you come across there, you're going to be flying across, really enjoying it. It's going to be an amazing ride.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I guess the other thing that's worth mentioning is you're looking at these incredible X towers and skyscraper towers across this quarry, but probably what you're hearing is a saw cutting concrete because we're still very much under construction, and some of the crews are out here, even though it's evening. They're out here, still working away to get the park ready for opening. If we switch back then to these towers, I guess one of the questions I also have is, like, now that we see this and we can see the actual landing zone, people come in here, and it looks like right there is the spot where they, a couple of the spots where they would land. How does safety work here? I mean, how do we ensure that, these zip lines are safe?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. So we have some state-of-the-art equipment that we'll be using to ensure your safety as you zip across the quarries. So to start with, we have a primary braking system that uses electromagnetic eddy current to slow you down gradually as you come in to the landing zone.
Yeah.
In the case of any emergency, we have a secondary device, which is kind of this little punching bag over here. Yeah. And this is our emergency arrest device. And that will allow us to catch you in a safe way in the event of you coming in a little bit hot or fast. So redundant systems to keep you safe at every single point of the trip.
Yep. All right, so now let's, I guess the other thing to look at is the zip line we have here. So there's the two zip lines coming in off the East Tower, and you were saying those are how long?
Those are about 950 feet.
All right, and then the two zip lines that are in the view here to the left going to the Skyscraper Tower, those are even longer.
Yeah, those are just over 1,000 feet long. So a good bit longer, and start a little bit higher as well. Those are about 76 feet for that launch platform there. Yeah. So a little bit more speed, a little bit more fun, a little length. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. And then how fast does a person go on these zip lines?
So it's really cool, depending on environmental factors, wind and weight and all that kind of stuff. You'll probably come in between 20 and 30 miles an hour. And if you catch it on a fast day, you might even exceed that too.
Yeah. Cool. Well, what I think we'll do now is, we came across the quarry from the East X Tower to here at Bottom Zip. And now let's go back across the quarry to the Skyscraper Tower, where Jeremy and Hannah have relocated and can tell us a little bit more about that.
Thanks, Chris. So here I am at the bottom of the Skyscraper Tower. There's some story and some history behind this tower that we thought it would be appropriate to share with you tonight. Why the heck do we call it Skyscraper Tower? Why is it made out of steel? And also, as I flip the camera around here and show you, why in the world, as you get toward the top, is the steel arced outward? It looks like a giant peeling banana, right? So the fun story behind this tower is that when you get to the top of it and you're standing at the highest rappelling station, which by the way is 105 feet above the ground, if you look to the east, what you see is the Chicago Cityscape Skyline, which is a beautiful view. If you've never seen it before from Lemont, it looks fantastic. More importantly, when you're looking out that way, the primary view is of the Sears Tower, the Willis Tower, right down there in the middle of downtown Chicago. So when we were designing this park, we said we wanted to do a couple of things. Number one is we wanted to make it iconic and of this place being Chicagoland. And what better way to do that than to pay homage to the Willis Tower itself. The second thing we wanted to do was to create something that has a sense of permanence. When you're at the Forge Lemont Quarries, you know, you are in a post-industrial quarry site. This was an industrial, it still is an industrial area along this corridor where the I&M Canal and the Cal-Sag Canal and things are. It's an active industrial zone. So we felt like the towers and the structures you see from the water or the roads should look and feel industrial. So it was essential to us that we build this out of steel. The other thing that's important about why we built it out of the steel is that it lasts forever. One of the cool things about this aerial adventure course, the 8 Towers Adventure, is that it's a thing of permanence. It is incredibly safe. It is incredibly solid. It is incredibly sturdy. This isn't like a bunch of telephone poles with some wires strapped to it that you got to sort of dangle your way through. This is industrial grade, very, very strong, very sturdy stuff. Speaking of that strong and sturdy stuff, as you can see in the tower this week, all the way up to the top nearly now, there are climbing elements. I'm going to turn the mic over to Hannah to talk a little bit about those climbing elements and give you a sense of just of the scale of this tower itself. Hannah?
Hey guys, as you can see, as Chris mentioned, we still have our construction teams out here, which is why I have my sweetheart hat and my high-vis vest on, because we want to make sure we are staying safe out here. And I was hanging out with them a little bit earlier before we got started. And I was also checking out our Skyscraper Tower, which has a ton of elements on it now, which looks awesome. But basically, this Skyscraper Tower has about 56 elements on it, which is a massive amount for just one tower. So comparatively, the next largest aerial adventure course in the area has about 65 elements on the entire course. So, you know, you're getting almost that same amount just on one of our towers. So that's pretty awesome as well. So basically how this would work is you would get strapped on using our safety system, and you would start at the stairs here. So our safety system would be kind of these wires here that you see. But as you can see again, it's still no trespassing because our construction team is still working, and I wish I could get up there and show you, but one day soon we'll be able to safely get up there and show you guys how that works. But for now, we're staying on the ground where it's safe. But yeah, you can see all the way up. We have all of our different elements. Those circles that you see will eventually be platforms that have wood on them. And then if I come over here, you can kind of see where the top zip platform is at. That giant platform right up there is where our zip lines are. And then that's where you would take off and go all the way across the quarry. And you would be seeing everybody out who's out on their boats, on their canoes, their kayaks, and their pedal boats.
One interesting point to highlight to everybody is that here at the Skyscraper Tower, of course, there are multiple ways to get to the top. So the elements that sort of go around the tower all the way up are sort of what I would call the most fun, most challenging way to get to the top. But as you saw when Hannah was standing in the middle of the tower, there's also a staircase that you'll be able to latch into, click into, and take up to the landing to the top zip area for the zip line on this particular tower. If you want to go all the way to the very, very, very tippy top, you're going to have to climb your way there. And that's really awesome because the reward for climbing to the top of this tower is your choice of one of 3 different rappelling platforms that are at 80, 90, and 105 feet respectively. So this tower alone is an adventure in and of itself. I think we'll probably find for a lot of people, this is a perfect day at the park. This is going to take you an hour to 2 hours of solid climbing and intense physical activity and intense fun to get up. Once you do get to the top, as Hannah was saying, and you get to that rappelling, the zip line platform, and you zip line out over the lake, you're going to be going over the Forge Quarry, and below you, there are going to be people having a lot of fun in canoes and paddle boats. And maybe it makes some sense to take a quick trip over to the water with Byron and Chris to talk about paddle sports here at the Forge Lemont Quarries.
All right, thanks, Jeremy. So I'm sitting here on the edge of the Forge Quarry, and you can see again, the Skyscraper Tower and the East X Tower, where the zip lines came through. Those zip lines come across and land here at Bottom Zip. Byron and I were just standing up there. But now if you look back onto the quarry, what you see is a kayaker, our man in the paddle sports, Byron Bell, the general manager here, is in one of the kayaks. What's it like out there, Byron?
Oh man, it is absolutely incredible. I couldn't ask for a better day out on the water. It is flat, calm, and beautiful. Easy paddle, and I can see all of the amazing ropes course elements over on the Skyscraper and East X Tower over behind me, which is just really incredible. So very easy to access. We'll have a awesome dock over here, which you'll be able to get into all of our canoes, kayaks, and pedal boats, and enjoy pedaling around the quarry here. It's gonna be a fantastic evening.
So Byron, tell us a little bit more about the paddle sports. What kind of paddling options are there?
Yeah, so again, we will have several different options in terms of our watercraft. We'll have kayaks, both single and double. We'll have canoes. We will have and pedal boats as well. So we have a large fleet. There'll be plenty for everybody to come out and play and try and make their way around on the quarries. It's a lot of fun. And one point that I think we really want to highlight here is the accessible options we're going to be offering with our paddle sports as well. So the dock that we will be constructing, which is going to be a dock to hold all of our equipment. It's also going to be ADA accessible and have a launch for those who are differently abled, which is going to be really amazing to give an experience to people who may not easily have access to the water. So in addition to that, several of our boats will be outfitted with accessible features so that they can support those who need a little extra assistance to get out in the water, because we really want this to be an inclusive and accessible experience.
You know, one question, I suspect Maura's got some questions queuing up, but I'll just start off and ask one I think people are already probably thinking, like when it comes to water sports, how does the COVID situation affect us? What are we doing to make sure that that's a safe activity?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. So we are working really hard, again, with our industry groups and alongside the state to figure out the best practices and guidelines to make sure that we're operating safely. In this specific instance with the paddle sports, we will be disinfecting all of the high-touch elements after each use. So the gunnels on the boats, the paddles on the boats, the life jackets. We will be requiring masks as you paddle through and use all of the equipment, and then we'll be sanitizing all of those elements after each use. So they will be clean and ready to go and safe to use. We'll also be enforcing social distancing amongst the kayaks. So you will, be asked to stay away from other kayakers who aren't in your family group as you make your way around the quarries.
That sounds good. So Maura, should we throw it back up to you to start digging into some audience questions?
That sounds great, Chris. And thanks for tackling that question. That is indeed one that we got. So thank you for addressing that, Chris and Byron. Let's stick with the paddle sports since we have Byron in the kayak behind you and we're right there at the water's edge. So one of the questions that came in is, how deep is the water in the quarry?
That's a fantastic question. So this quarry that we're on, the Forge Quarry here, is not actually as deep as you'd expect. It's, I think, at maximum around 15, 20 feet at its deepest point.
Yeah, that's a good question. There's also some other quarries out here that are a lot deeper. So kind of off, to my left is a set of quarries called Great Lakes Quarries. And that, I think, gets up toward, 40 feet in areas. And then there's even another quarry kind of behind me on the left called Consumers Quarries, which I think gets really deep, like 60, 80 feet.
Awesome. Another question in regards to paddle sports. Is it all single-use equipment, or do you have two-person kayaks?
Yeah, that's
yes,
an awesome question. Let me grab that because I'm going to give a shot here. So we've got our Forge Quarry truck over here. And one of the things we have in the truck, which is ready for next week, is one of the canoes. And that's a two-person canoe.
Awesome.
I believe, Byron, there's also paddle boats, which are 2 people, right?
They can actually fit up to 4 people. They have a maximum weight load of about 550 pounds. So great for a family to have a fun little experience out on the water.
This might be the best question of all. What happens if you fall in?
That's a great question. Let's hope I don't demonstrate right now. As funny as that would be, but yeah. So we will always have a staff member on site who will have a boat ready to come and perform either a tow if you get too tired, or be able to help you get back in if for some reason you do fall in. The boats that we do have available are very stable and very easy to use, so you don't have to worry too much about falling in the quarries. But if you were, we would be right there. And it's hard to see probably from Chris's or from my screen, but I'm actually out in the middle of the. I haven't been paddling very hard, but I've been paddling for about maybe like a minute, and I'm already almost across the quarry. So we can get to you at any point in time throughout this space.
That's great. That's great. So you're probably just coming up on the Skyscraper Tower, and we actually have a question about that structure. So Jeremy, I'm going to direct this one to you. It's a question about the reservation slots for certain activities, specifically the Skyscraper zip line. How far apart are the reservation times?
Great question.
Oh, Jeremy, I think we lost your audio there for a moment.
Oh, that was odd. Sorry about that. What I was saying was, as with everything else that's part of the 8-tower adventure, we will be starting groups of up to 10 people from a family unit every 10 minutes at different entry points to the 8-tower adventure course itself. So if, for example, you wanted to come out and book an experience that is just the Skyscraper Tower, where you'd climb the 56 elements here, experience the rappelling stations, and maybe run back up and do the zip line, you'll be able to book a specific time for that, and you'll be able to book it in a way that guarantees you to be socially distanced, both at the point of check-in to the tower itself, and then at the at every element of the tower. To be specific there, what we're requiring our guests to do is basically give each other significant space, such that they'll be able to feel comfortable and confident when they're going through the park. You see, I'm showing a video picture here of what will be one of the foot tower or foot platforms between a series of elements. So what we'll be requiring is that you have one guest on a platform at a time, while another guest is on an element at a time. So we won't allow people to double up on any elements at any part of the 8-tower adventure. So I could be here on this platform waiting for my daughter as she goes across this particular element, and when she gets to that platform over there, then I will be able to proceed through and follow behind her. By doing that, we can ensure that everyone has a safe and properly distanced experience throughout the entire park.
That's great. We'll stick with the Skyscraper Tower. We had a few other questions that came in. How many people can be on the Skyscraper Tower at once?
I love that question. So we designed the Skyscraper Tower to be able to have over 60 people at once climbing on it. It's that big.
Wow. Next question in regards to the zip line from the Skyscraper Tower. How many people can be on the zip line at once?
So the way that the zip lines work is there are 2 separate zips that go out of the tower and across the quarry and then end up at the bottom zip. So what will happen is you'll be able to get up to 2 people at a time connecting into the zip structure above. And then as they get out over the water, we'll be able to bring 2 more people into and onto the platform. Now, of course, if you're not from the same socially distanced family group, then it'll be one at a time, right, while we queue people in to ensure that you've got the requisite 6 feet of space between you and the next guest.
Got it. Is there a weight limit on the zip lines?
There is. So there's a weight limit on every element of the 8 Towers adventure. Generally speaking, it's 65 to 70 pounds at the low end, and it's 250 pounds at the high end to ensure guest safety.
Perfect. Chris, I'm going to kick a question your way. How do you stop on the zip line?
Well, the way the design works, and you can kind of see it here. I don't know how, it's hard for me to see on my small screen, but you can kind of see as the zip lines come in, what they do is they start at an angle and then they actually flatten out. So just, wind and gravity do most all of the work for you. And as Byron was mentioning earlier, if you're going a little further, there's a redundant system that'll slow you down at the end. But it's mainly just, it's kind of built into the physics.
You want to turn your camera around and show the folks what the landing zone looks like specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I don't know how well you can see that. Can you see those zip lines in the
Yeah.
shot? Yeah. So you see, like, as they head out toward the Skyscraper Tower, they're at an angle, and that's really where you pick up speed. But as they come in at the end, you can see they've gotten pretty flat. So this is where you really just naturally slow down. And then you can see right there in front is, that's when the kind of the systems that'll slow you down at the end if needed start to kick in, and then you get onto the platform. So it's kind of designed just naturally to slow you down.
Very cool. Very cool. So we have another kayak question that came in. Are the kayak rentals for a set number of hours, or do you get to kayak all day?
I don't know, Byron, can you take that out there in the
Yeah,
water?
absolutely. I will take that from the kayak about kayaks. We are having kind of a few different options. If you come as a member or you purchase a day pass, you will have access all day to kayaks. So you'll be able to take them in and out as you please throughout the day. We also have individual activity passes where you can rent the kayak and utilize it on our quarry here throughout the day as well.
Perfect. Okay, we had another question that, oh, sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, the other thing that is important to understand is while we're in the COVID world that we currently live in, we have a whole set of procedures in terms of how we clean the kayaks, how we clean all the equipment to ensure that it's a socially distanced and safe activity.
That's great. I actually have one more safety question, and I think both of you could probably take this about the zip lines. Straight up question, how safe is the zip line over the water?
How safe?
How safe?
It's incredibly safe. So like every other element of the 8 Towers adventure, you're harnessed into both your harness and the zip with multiple fail-safe measures in place. It is literally one of the safest things you can do that's an adventure sport, an adventure activity, because once you're on this thing, there's no way to get off. Services staff, our teammates, when they bring you off the zip line at the end after you safely stop, they've got to unlock you basically from the line itself. So you're very, very safe all the way down.
And I'll jump in and continue kind of on that process. If for whatever reason a guest doesn't come all the way in from one side or to the other side, our staff is trained to first, we have our rescue system that's able to pull you back in. And if for some reason you're way out in the middle, we hook up on the line and we zip out to you and we pull you back in. For every single possible scenario, we have training and safety measures in place so that we're able to help you in any situation that may arise.
Perfect. Thank you. So the next question that came in is around group bookings. Obviously, all of these activities are fantastic activities to have a corporate group out or a team development group out for a day or a half day. The question is, what's the largest group you'll be able to accommodate in terms of group bookings?
Sure,
So,
I can take that. Oh, go ahead, Byron.
No, I was just going to say, we're the good news about the space that we have here is that we aren't specifically limited by large numbers of groups. So the way that we're working with this in the COVID world is to split these groups into smaller socially distant subgroups so that we can still have a large group of 100+ people out on in the park and maybe even larger than that. And we have enough space and enough activities that we can keep them all socially distant while still having a fantastic time. Think of
it this way. So across the 8 Tower adventure, we have over 260 elements that are all separated by platforms and elements, just as we discussed here with the Skyscraper Tower, which means that we can have well over 530 people on the course at one time in a safe, socially distanced way, moving about it. Because of the multiple layers and because of just the sheer number and the sheer size of this park, we can bring very, very large groups out and get everyone through here in a very, very safe and cozy manner. We expect that, we'll probably limit the size of groups at any given time to about 350 in the COVID world, just because we want to be extremely safe.
And I don't know if you guys want to mention like what the numbers will be once we come out of the COVID world.
Yeah.
Jeremy, why don't
Go
you
ahead,
take
Byron. Oh, it's fine. But I apologize. We're all so excited about it. Woohoo!
I know.
So in a post-COVID world, we could do a multiple of that. And the other thing I guess I would say is that that's just for the 8 tower adventures, right? So when you think about the Forge Lemont Quarries, again, remember this: these activities that you're seeing here, the 8 towers adventure, the Forge Quarry, and everything over on the east side of the park where Chris and Byron were, where the landing zone is. That's where the children's zone is. That's where the mountain biking stuff is. That's where the amphitheater is. That's where the restaurant is. That's where the AR games are. That's where the laser tag is. I mean, this is 40 acres of space on which to spread out and play and have a great time as a family or as a group of friends. We can fit lots and lots of people in the park now and down the road, regardless of the environment we find ourselves in.
And the other part of that I was just going to add is that we have really phenomenal offerings for everything from a birthday party to a corporate outing, team building event, and really excited that we've actually had some folks inquire about having their wedding out here with us fairly recently. So we're super excited. Any kind of activity that you want to have with your group of people, we'll be able to facilitate it in a fun and safe manner.
That's great. And then I do want to be cognizant of people's times. It's 7:02, but I do want to address the last question that came in. And it really is in regards to all the activities at the park that we offer. Will we be offering lessons, meaning kayak lessons or climbing lessons? Explain a bit about that.
So the 3 pillars behind the Forge Lemont Quarries Adventure Park are educate, entertain, and exhilarate. Under the educate banner, we have always contemplated and planned on having training and certification programming that we'll offer. Given the situation going into the early summer here with COVID, we don't currently have any specific offerings on tap, if you will, for paddle sports. But as the environment settles and as we go from phase 3 into phase 4 of the Illinois, the Restore Illinois plan that's been put out by JB Pritzker, we will inevitably be able to start bringing those programs back online.
And I'll just one quick blurb about that too. In terms of utilizing the activities out here, we've designed them in ways that are very intuitive to learn and do at the kind of basic level. So you don't have to be nervous about not having any previous experience doing any of the activities you have to offer. We will train you on how to use any of the equipment to climb, to paddle, or to bike, or do any of the AR or laser tag games. You'll get all the training you need and be able to jump on any of those activities and have a fantastic time.
That's great. Thanks so much for all of the info, everyone at the park. I want to thank all of our guests for joining us this week. I apologize for going over and taking 4 additional minutes of your time, but we really, truly appreciate all of the wonderful questions that came in. Hopefully we got answers to all of your questions. If not, as always, please feel free to reach out to anyone on the team. We're here. We're excited to share more information, and we really can't wait to get you out to the park this summer. In the meantime, please join us next week for Quarryside Chat number 4, Thursday, May 28th, same time, 6:30 to 7 on Zoom. As always, each week we'll share information on Quarryside Chat number 4 on all of our social channels so that you can RSVP and register. It's an exciting week next week. We'll be talking about all of our fantastic mountain biking activities, the skills park, the tracks, the pump tracks, as well as our 2 Towers Kids Zone. So it'll be a really fun week next week, and we hope for all of you to join us, and we'll see you there. Again, thanks for being here this week, and we'll see you on the 28th. Take care.